Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be focusing on our Microsoft integrations. My name is Kat Garbus. I'm a Senior Strategic Evangelist at Jamf, supporting our partners and organizations in the enterprise and government. With me today is my colleague, Kenny. Kenny is our Senior Field Sales Engineer working with enterprise organizations at Jamf and is our SME on Microsoft and our integrations with them. Before we dive into today's content, here's a real quick overview of our agenda. For those who are new and working with us, or perhaps you missed an earlier portion of our mini-series, we're going to do a quick overview of Jamf. Then we're going to dive right into today's session on integrations with Microsoft and provide a deep dive and some demos that will be led by Kenny. We'll also have time at the end for Q&A, and we'll be answering questions throughout the presentation. If you have a question, please use the Q&A box. Our goal is to make your Apple devices fit nicely into your existing Windows infrastructure. Jamf was founded 18 years ago with one goal, and that's to empower people through technology. We do that today by helping organizations be successful with Apple. We're here to help elevate and enhance the Apple experience in the workplace for both employees and IT. We focus exclusively on supporting Apple hardware, and by Jamf focusing solely on Apple, this allows our customers to have best-in-class support, more MDM features that speak directly to the Apple platform, and have same-day support for new operating system updates, betas, and features. This has ultimately given us a 96% customer retention rate, which is truly unheard of for many software companies, and we are so proud to be labeled as the #1 Apple MDM. And this is our overall product portfolio. We have Jamf Now supporting our small, medium business markets. Jamf School is our management solution for education. And of course, Jamf Pro, our solution, which is the top rated for Apple management. Alongside it now are Jamf Protect for endpoint security and Jamf Connect for identity management and security. Then at the bottom, we have Jamf Nation, which is our online community for Apple admins. It's free to join and it's a great mind share, and you do not have to be a Jamf customer to participate. And as you can see, we help a lot of people. More than 40,000 organizations rely on us each day to help manage 15 million and growing Apple devices globally. Being the world leader in Apple management, we're supporting from small businesses all the way up to the world's largest banks, tech companies, enterprise, and government organizations. Some of the largest organizations choose Jamf for Apple management regardless of the organizational size or their Apple device count. And really that's to ensure that we can help support the Apple footprint as best as possible. So whether they have 5 devices or 5,000, we have a workflow to help from no matter where you're starting and where you aspire to grow to. Now that you've learned about us as an organization, let's start looking at our approach and recap on how we're helping organizations and how we're fitting into a Windows dominant environment. Jamf is the only Apple enterprise management solution of scale that automates the entire life cycle of Apple in the enterprise, including device provisioning, management, and security, without negatively impacting the end user experience or requiring IT to touch the device physically, especially as many of us are remote or have limitations on how many people can serve in an office right now. This is very key. So for those trying to mirror what we do with our Windows devices to Mac, this is our approach and considerations for the enterprise and how we're also leveraging Apple Business Manager to help fully support that. Another major benefit our customers find in Jamf is our exclusive focus on Apple in our history and commitment to something we call same-day support that I mentioned a few moments ago. For 9 years running, Jamf has delivered support for new Apple operating systems, macOS, iPadOS, iOS, and tvOS, the day they are released. So if you have end users that are looking to upgrade, it's easy to support a mass operating system upgrade across your entire fleet. And on the flip side, if you wish to pause the availability of a new operating system, you can delay the operating system upgrades for up to 90 days so your team can ensure you have the time taken to test and validate before making the OS update available to anyone. Jamf remains focused on helping you succeed with Apple, and same-day support is a major benefit to ensure you have the features you need, that the MDM connection doesn't break, or perhaps to ensure that you don't need to restrict or withhold any updates on the count of us. We have engineers dedicated to make sure of this, and a lot of this is also reliant on our partnership with Apple and speaks to that. So now that you've learned about us, let's start taking a look at today's material on how we help supporting Apple alongside Windows with Microsoft integrations. As I just mentioned a few moments ago, our primary mission has been to help organizations be successful with Apple, but as we know, many organizations have several Windows machines or a larger Windows population, and there are so many considerations to take as you are thinking of what you're trying to do. How do you accomplish this? And especially specific to today's conversation, when it comes to our Microsoft integrations, we're wondering, should we continue to bind devices to Azure AD? How do we integrate with our reporting tools? We're using SCCM. How are we integrating to that? And is that possible? We want to have the same functionality on that with our Apple devices. What are some of the differences that perhaps we have not considered or do not know of for conditional access? And Kenny's going to talk about this in greater detail shortly. But again, there are some unique platform differences that we've been discussing throughout this mini series. We think about how those challenges may come into place, or perhaps it may not be the exact cookie cutter copy and paste that we're considering as we think of, this is what we're doing on the Windows side, this is what we want to achieve on the Mac side. And just know that even though there are some unique platform differences, we can still help with producing that result for your Apple devices, but perhaps that path isn't exactly the same because of these unique differences. To recap from our previous sessions, everyone needs to provision, encrypt. There's the management framework to consider, settings management and licensing, but it's different and varies on each side. File Vault, for example, is how you encrypt on the Apple side, and of course, BitLocker is one of the main options for the Windows side. So as we think of these considerations, the same thing applies with how we are considering our Microsoft integrations. And this may be a surprise to several of you on the call because we are so focused on Apple, but we have a very amazing partnership with Microsoft if you weren't already aware of it. We are, yes, an Apple-only solution, but again, we recognize that many enterprise and government organizations, a majority of their devices are Windows or Android, and perhaps most of those devices are being secured with Intune. So to get the best of both worlds, to ensure that you will have the best practices in place for your Apple's devices as they are being put into that Windows environment, we want to make sure that you have a platform-centric solution for both that work well together. So with us today, we're going to talk now and start our deep dive on our Microsoft integrations. And I would like to pass it off to my colleague, Kenny Richter, who is our SME. Thank you so much for joining us today to help us learn more about this.
Thank you so much, Kat, for bringing me along today. My name is Kenny Richter. I'm one of the field sales engineers here at Jamf, and I am one of the SMEs, specifically more around the Microsoft conditional access integrations. But being that I work with so many enterprises who are so heavily focused on Windows, the better I can understand the Windows side of things, the better I can help them transition to understanding how to work with Apple. Jamf has been integrating with Microsoft for a long time now, been building Microsoft technologies into our products and integrating to make the lives of admins and end users much simpler. These are some of the things we're going to take a look at today. So Active Directory, this was one of the first integrations, was being able to tie in with Active Directory via LDAP. This happened over 10 years ago. And this allowed not only admins to be able to use their AD credentials to authenticate into Jamf, it also provides a way for admins to target Active Directory users and user groups instead of needing to create all those users and groups within Jamf Pro. So this integration made the lives of admins much simpler. In the 9 series, we introduced SSO integration using SAML with ADFS. Azure is also supported today. And this really supports the move to the cloud. Many organizations are security conscious, and having SAML authentication to get into Jamf products really provides that ease for InfoSec teams out there. When it comes to inventory, many organizations are traditionally Windows with a lot of Microsoft infrastructure behind the scenes. While Jamf Pro has the ability to create all kinds of advanced reporting and along with functionality to actually email this out to different folks automatically, many organizations want to use that single pane of glass. We have a plugin for SCCM that will take all that rich data from Jamf Pro and move it over to SCCM. That way folks can get a single report for all of their devices. More recently, Microsoft has come up with something called Power BI, Business Intelligence. Our integration with Power BI takes analytics to the next level. So we know in today's world, data is power. Jamf Pro can feed Power BI details about devices, applications, as well as all that deep extended inventory that Jamf has the ability to collect on these devices, giving you the power to use Power BI most effectively. Jamf Connect is a product from Jamf that has made the lives of end users and reduced the IT tickets tremendously out there. So while binding or joining a Mac to the domain is still possible and something Jamf Pro can facilitate for organizations that are looking to support that, many organizations are looking to modernize their deployments and find the practice of binding to be outdated and problematic. With the move to the cloud, many organizations need to be able to support authentication off the domain. Jamf Connect provides a way for accounts to be created based off those cloud IDPs like Azure. So now you can provision a new device from anywhere, keep those account passwords in sync with Azure, and increase the telemetry by having those authentications on your Macs logged over on the Azure side. This has been a very popular tool, and I'm excited to see its growth. Active Directory certificates. While many organizations want to get away from binding Macs, there's always been this requirement for needing to have a machine object in AD in order to deliver a machine certificate to the device. This means the device needs to be bound traditionally. What you find is, in order to do this, you have a chicken and egg scenario where typically a device needs to be on a certain network in order to join the domain and get that certificate. When everyone's working from the office and devices are configured from the special provisioning network, this workflow has been doable. However, everyone now is working remotely. So wouldn't it be great to streamline the ability to get machine certs onto a device wherever that device is at? Enter the ADCS connector. With this PKI integration, Jamf Pro can request and deliver certificates from an Active Directory Certificate Services domain controller to a device without the machine needing to be bound and from wherever it is at. So now a device can be set up at home and the required certificates for network and VPN can be deployed to the Mac like magic. Speaking of cloud, as we become more of a mobile society and the trusted devices with a trusted user can access corporate data. A few years ago, Microsoft Corporate VP Brad Anderson approached Jamf about working together to come up with a solution to support Microsoft's conditional access for Mac OS and still use Jamf Pro as the management tool. And because Jamf Pro has such deep controls into the OS, most organizations said we want to keep using Jamf. So this partnership provided a one-of-a-kind integration that allowed our mutual customers to protect their corporate data with Microsoft's conditional access and continue to use Jamf Pro as their management tool. Our newest integration with Microsoft is what's called iOS device compliance. At a high level, it provides organizations a way to turn on conditional access for their iPhones and iPads on the Microsoft side and use Jamf Pro as their management tool, just like they're doing with their Macs, but it works a little bit different. So why do customers want this? First and foremost, organizations need to make sure corporate data is protected. You've probably heard the new terminology called zero trust. Zero trust is basically requires a user is always authenticated and authorized, and the device the user is accessing the data from is continuously validated against whatever security checks have been put in place. So in order to access corporate data, such as Office 365, you need a trusted and authorized user with a fully secured device. If anything were to change, such as the user's authorization was revoked or a device no longer met the security requirements, access to the secured content would be immediately revoked. Now, why do customers want this? Our customers love using Jamf Pro to manage all of their Apple devices. Until this integration was released, if they were to create a conditional access policy for iOS, the device would need to be managed by Microsoft Endpoint Manager, formerly Intune. Our customers now get the best of both worlds by securing their corporate data with Microsoft and providing the best end user experience by managing the device with Jamf Pro. So for folks out there who like to get a little more of some of the nitty-gritty details of the technology, here's an overview of the integration. This is a new API from Microsoft, so it works a little bit different than an integration for Mac OS. In this integration, we use a smart group in Jamf Pro to determine if the device is compliant or not. Any device that is a member of this group will be marked as compliant. This also means we can make the criteria as simple or as advanced as you would like, and we're not limited to just the rules on the Microsoft side around the conditional access policies. Jamf then sends a flag to Microsoft stating which devices are compliant. Now, maybe the best part about this new integration is that it's a much simpler process to the end user, which you'll see here in a bit. So here is an example of a smart group for our compliant devices. Ultimately, we know if a device is managed by Jamf, it's going to have our required security settings. So while you can create a very sophisticated smart group, I'm always a fan of keeping things simple. But I would recommend creating a smart group that has some of those basic security requirements that will be fulfilled by a configuration profiles that would come down from Jamf Pro. Now, once we have our smart group for compliance, we can go ahead and turn on this integration. Let's take a look at how we do this. So there's a new spot called Device Compliance. We will select the Microsoft Sovereign Cloud Global, select our smart group for compliance, as well as the smart group for devices in which we want to allow to register with Microsoft. Once we do this, we can hit Connect. This will direct us out to Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Here we'll be requested to authenticate, so it can automatically create the right permissions on the Microsoft side. It'll create an app for the server side as well as for the device side. Once that is complete, it'll be taking us over to the Partner Compliance Management blade. And here we'll go ahead, we're going to select iOS and the Azure AD groups we wish to target. We can go ahead and hit Next here. And once we hit Confirm, that'll take us back over to Jamf Pro. Now, it will take a minute or so for the Jamf Pro side to see that it is fully connected. And there you go. We see we are connected. And if we hit refresh, we see that we now have the integration completed. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to want to go ahead and create our conditional access policy over in Microsoft Endpoint Manager. we'll go ahead and select this one I've already created. Conditional access policy, we're going to make sure we target the users that we want to apply this to. We'll also want to select the application, and for device platforms, just select iOS. And we'll want to make sure we select browsers and mobile apps. And then you just need to say grant access and require a device to be marked as compliant. And it is simple as that. All right, so now that we've created this integration, let's take a look at what it's like from the end user side. This is going to be much simpler than what it is over on the macOS side. We require the Microsoft Authenticator Ios App. We're going to start in self-service. Self-service will direct us over to Authenticator, where we perform our sign-in. There is a token that is provided, and that is it. At that point, Jamf Pro will start sending this data over to Microsoft. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the process from the end user side. Go into self-service and hit register with Microsoft. That will automatically open up Microsoft Authenticator. Here, we can go ahead and authenticate. If the user has already done so, they can enter their iPad passcode in order to populate that password. And then we'll go ahead and hit register. And just like that, we have registered this iPad with Microsoft. We are now managed by Jamf Pro and registered with Microsoft, so those conditional access policies can enforce device compliance. And if we take a look at the list of devices over in Azure, you'll see Bryce's iPad is not only enabled, but is marked as compliant. And again, this is utilizing Jamf Pro to push down those required settings, in which the device will fall into the smart group, in which that device will then be marked as compliant by Jamf over on the Microsoft side. Organizations have moved away from binding computers to Active Directory. That was never a thing for iPads or iPhones. But however, we can register a device with Azure Active Directory. So in this case, we have a device managed by Jamf Pro, and it's registered with Azure Active Directory. Okay, so what are the requirements for this integration? There are licensing requirements on the Microsoft side. Best to speak to your Microsoft account team about these licenses, but I can tell you it's a Microsoft E3 license or greater, or an equivalent to that if you're in maybe the government. And then Azure AD Premium 2. On the Jamf side, it's for our Jamf customers who are part of Jamf Cloud. Version 10.25, we introduced this integration. And then you will be required to deploy out both self-service, which is a Jamf iOS app, as well as Microsoft's Authenticator app. Both of those are free in the App Store and can very easily be distributed via Jamf Pro using Apple's volume purchasing.
Kenny, thank you so much for walking us through that and showing not only the integrations, but walking us through the various types of integrations that we have available with Microsoft and demonstrating how easy it is to register devices, connect everything. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that today. And again, the goal is having these devices integrate nicely into your Windows infrastructure via these integrations, so you can have an MDM that's Windows centric, like Intune, to focus on those devices, and then of course Jamf integrating with that, so you can have the best of both worlds in managing your Windows and Apple devices to focus solely on those centric platform differences and making sure you have what you need. For those of you new or not working with us, Jamf can be hosted in the cloud or on premise. Most of our folks are in the cloud, especially in today's setup, but some of you may have unique needs that would require it to be managed on-prem, so let us know and we can certainly support either. And for those of you interested in getting up and running quicker, learning, we have professional services available that we can leverage even remotely. So if you are looking to get set up, perhaps add on conditional access and turn those features on if you're an existing customer or you're looking to get trained, certified, let us know. We have options to support. And then something that most people don't realize, we actually include support in all of our licenses. We don't want our customers to feel like they can't reach out to us or say, oh, we have to use an hour for this. We have support included, but if you did need additional support or more robust support, we do have additional support options that you can also add on. And then we spent a lot of time today talking about our Microsoft integrations, but that doesn't stop there. We have several integrations that we work with and partnerships throughout. So we talked about a few of these today, but if there is something that you're interested in, whether it's a ticketing integration perhaps, or some sort of software that you're wondering if there's something already built, check out our marketplace. It actually was recently redone. Let us know if there's something not on there that you're interested in, but we have several other integrations already set out there. And if something doesn't exist, chances are we can make it work with an API or a webhook. So let us know, take a look. But again, when we think of managing Apple devices alongside Windows, a lot of it stems from how do we integrate and how do we have everything talk to each other so it's not independent. Some next steps, if you want to learn more, if you want to try Jamf or any of our other solutions, we do have demos and trials available. You can also schedule a call with our team so we can hear about your organization. A lot of organizations right now, they are restructuring. They're planning also for 2021 with a more remote focus, knowing that this is not exactly temporary in this layout and how we are. So let us know how we can help. A lot of these items can be set up remotely for the most part, but again, each setup is unique and we know that your office and your infrastructure may have some differences. So if you want to talk through that with us, let us know. And you can contact us, enterprise@jamf.com, or if you are working with an Apple or channel partner or already working with someone at Jamf, feel free to reach out to them directly. Otherwise, if you're not sure where to go or who to connect with, enterprise@jamf.com is a great email. And at this time, Kenny and I would like to thank you for joining us today. We hope you learned something new. If you have any questions, we are now start taking Q&A for the group. So feel free to use the Q&A box. And once again, thank you for joining us today.